Hey guys, it's Lawrence back from Tech Legends, and I want to talk something about today about air coolers versus water coolers. Well, actually, yeah, I'm not gonna talk about the stock air coolers because this video is pretty much based on pretty much everyone has a stock cooler because well, duh, every computer comes with one unless you have some weird type of computer that doesn't have a CPU cooler. But other than that, I'm gonna talk about just like coolers in general that are like the most popular coolers of today between air coolers and water coolers. Of course, water coolers are going to be a bit more expensive. The all-in-one coolers, yes, are going to be a bit more expensive than air coolers. But let's go right into the air coolers. Um, well, I'm going to be talking about the different types of air coolers. There is like one of the most popular ones I know, which is the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo. This is pretty much the standard one everyone gets. And if you're doing minimal overclocking, like just barely overclocking, then you should be fine with this cooler. But if you want something with a little bit more power, there is a more expensive, like the Cooler Master Hyper D92 CPU air cooler with dual 92mm fans, which will pretty much cool down your CPU dramatically. Or there's some CPU coolers that air coolers that pretty much cost the same exact price as a water cooler. So I recommend we're just getting a water cooler, like the Cooler Master V8 GTX High Performance CPU cooler. And this actually has a horizontal vapor chamber and it has 8 heat pipes. So yeah, this will dissipate the heat, but I still think water cooler would work better. And there is tons and tons and tons of air coolers that you can choose from. I'm just telling you one of the most popular ones. Most of them are going to be 120mm fan, of course, because that is pretty much the heatsink size, and they keep it pretty much the same size, so it dissipates the heat a lot better. I'm just saying the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo will be your best choice for the cheapest and most efficient and effective air cooler for the price. So yes, CPU air coolers are actually more budget friendly. Water coolers will do better for overclocking, and we're gonna talk about a bit more about air coolers, and then we're gonna slowly move on to water coolers. Um, so basically, like the Cooler or Master, the temps are gonna be way lower than the stock fan because the stock fan pretty much sucks. Unless you have AMD, which is gonna be a bit cooler because their fans are a bit bigger and the CPU blocks are actually they're bigger. So it'll dissipate the heat. If you're not gonna do any overclocking, then there pretty much is no point of having a Cooler Master or anything like that, unless you live in a very, very, very hot area, or your room temps are pretty hot during the summer, and you want something to cool down your PC if you're worried about it overheating, which like I am. So I'm getting I might be getting Cooler Master because during the summer, it is gonna get hot up in here. So when I render, it gets the temps go pretty high. So yeah. And let's go on to the water cooling side. And I know you guys are thinking, wait a minute, water cooling, oh crap, you're putting water in your system. No, because yes, you're probably worried about leaks, but it is very rare and there's very minimal reports about leakage. But just remember that it is possible. So make sure you put everything in right, and it's pretty simple to install, so I wouldn't be worried about that. I'm gonna talk about a few coolers here. They're pretty much all the one I would recommend all-in-one coolers. Custom loop. If you're doing a custom loop coolers, you probably won't even watch this video because you know what you're doing, big time. You're pretty much if you're gonna go with one of those. I would definitely not start off with the. I feel like if your first PC build, I would definitely not start off with the custom water loop, just because I mean you pretty much won't even need it unless you're doing some serious overclocking. But if you are starting off, I would just recommend an air cooler. Or if you know you're gonna be doing overclocking, I would just recommend a water cooler. But air coolers do just as fine, or almost as fine as a water cooler. But water coolers are a bit more, effective with the dissipating heat. I'm just gonna talk about a few like Corsairs. Like you could get the smaller radiators with the like 2mm tube fans on each end, but the thing I really recommend is you getting the biggest one that actually fits in your case. That is very important because you could get a small one for those mild overclocks, but if you really want performance, get the biggest one that fits in your case. Because most of the time, you're gonna be doing some high overclocks if you want those faster rendering speeds, better gaming performance, all that good stuff. So yeah, like there's the double thick 120 yeah millimeter radiator from Corsair. It's a Corsair Hydro Series Extreme Performance Liquid CPU Cooler H80i. I stuttered a bit there. Yeah, this is a cooler with a smaller radiator and fan, but well, actually it's the same size fan as the other ones. It's just that it's a very small. It's a smaller radiator, but that's perfectly fine. If you're not gonna be doing too much overclocking, you pretty much just want to cool down your PC. But if you want something a bit more extreme and a bit bigger for your case, and you want better performance, I would recommend something like the like the bigger, the bigger cases. Like this one, for example, is a Earner Max. I've never heard of this. Sorry, I've never heard of this brand, so I'm just gonna go to a Corsair one. So let's go to Corsair. Yeah, like I was saying, get the biggest one that fits in your case if you could, even though like the one I'm talking about, the Hydro series, is actually like more expensive. No, it's actually pretty much about the same price as getting a bigger one. And most cases today actually fit a bigger radiator, so you should be just fine if you get a bigger radiator. But just be sure that it will fit. Like I'm gonna talk about okay, this radiator. Okay, yes, I'm sure you guys have heard of this one. It's the Corsair Hydro Series H100 Extreme Performance Liquid CPU Cooler. There is other types of this, but some coolers are better than others. This one is really weird. What the heck? This one has a knob. Okay, I'm guessing this one was like the most there is different versions. Like there is the H60, H70, and the H80. I think the H70 would be best for actually actually. So most expensive one here is the H80 that I was talking about right now is $250. But if you want something that's more budget friendly, there is like the H70. But the one that I really recommend if you're just starting off is if you go with the H60. Why? Cause it's most if you're just gonna go with some basic water cooling, just go with the H100. For some reason, the H60, it's a smaller millimeter fan. No, it's a smaller radiator, and for some reason it's $150. And the H100 actually is a bigger radiator, and it's going for about $80 on Amazon. So yeah, guys, this was my video on air coolers versus water coolers. Yes, if you're gonna do some really good overclocking, go ahead and go for the water cooling. Go ahead and shoot it. Don't even worry about the leakage. It's worth it. But if you just want to cool down your CPU and overclock, some like light overclocking, then yes, go ahead and go for the Hyper 212 Evo. But if you're gonna do some more overclocking, and if you don't want to be water cooling, get a bigger or more expensive, better performance size CPU cooler or air cooler. Guys, just be sure that this isn't a problem with the water coolers because they're more compact and they're pretty much fit in any case you put in it. But if you want something that's a bit, just make sure that the air coolers that you get, like the Hyper 212 Evo, they're a little high. So make sure they actually fit in your case, so you don't have to go all the way back to the store or return to Amazon or anything. So you don't have to go through all that hassle. So yeah, guys, just pretty much make sure that it fits in your case. Most cases it should fit in, but if it's like a really small case, then I would really double check. And do not worry if you still want to air cool. There's still other air coolers out there that'll fit in cases that will still do good performance, but they might be a little bit more expensive. So yeah, guys, that was Lawrence from Tech Legends, and I'll see you guys in the next video.